The courtroom clock clicked like a metronome for bad decisions. Emily Carter straightened her suit, lifted her eyes, and met the stare of the man she once promised forever. Adrian Vale, billionaire, philanthropist, liar, sat at the defense table waiting for the lawyer assigned by his board. He didn't expect her. Gasps fluttered through the gallery when she said, "Emily Carter for the defense, Your Honor." The judge nodded. The prosecutor frowned. Adrian swallowed, trying to find the version of her he used to control. She didn't blink. Beneath her briefcase liner, a sealed envelope pressed against her palm, like a live wire. The truth he buried. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe. The charge was clean on paper. Counts of securities, fraud, and obstruction. The narrative sang. A rogue CFO cooked the books. Adrian, the visionary, was duped. He'd hired top PR. The sympathy headlines had already been written. But the state had teeth, subpoenas, depositions. One star witness ready to testify that everything pointed away from the CEO. The board wanted a win, not a war. They begged Emily to defend him because juries loved a reconciliation photo. "Emily," Adrian murmured as she sat, "this is awkward." "It's lawful," she said, sliding a legal pad between them like a drawbridge. "Don't speak unless I ask," he smirked, the same crooked weapon she had once mistaken for charm. "You're still angry." "Anger is a blunt instrument," she said. "I'm here to work." Judge Marisol Chen eyed the counsel tables. "Mr. Vale, confirm your representation." Adrian leaned toward the microphone. "I consent." Emily rose. "Defense is ready." In the hallway at recess, the prosecutor, ADA Marisol Chen's first chair, David Rios, fell into step. "Why take him back?" he asked. "You could have passed." "I didn't take him back," Emily said. "I took the case. What's your angle?" "Procedure," she said, and left him with a closed door. What David didn't know, 3 nights earlier, a plain manila envelope had arrived at his office, no return address. Inside, mirrored drives, internal memos, wire transfers, breadcrumbs. A sticky note. "Check the shell at Harbor 7. Ask about the midnight trucks." No fingerprints. No handwriting to match. Emily had mailed it from a county 2 hours away, wearing gloves, paying cash. Defense ethics were a razor. Emily would not present evidence to incriminate her client. But she could force sunlight in, via discovery battles, via precise objections, via questions that would make the state look where it had refused to look. If the truth collided with Adrian, that would be gravity, not betrayal. She returned to counsel table. Adrian whispered, "We still make a good team." "We never did," she said, eyes on the bench. "I just didn't know the score. Jury selection is choreography." Emily moved, like she knew the steps in the dark. She watched hands, not mouths. A man who said he hated corporate greed twisted his wedding ring when he spoke. Performative outrage. Unreliable. Strike. A woman whispered she'd lost her pension to a fraudster, but didn't want to punish the innocent. Her shoulders were squared, pain with discipline. "Keep Miss Carter," Judge Chen said. "Cause challenges." Emily stood, voice level. "Juror 19. He cannot presume innocence." He stated, "Billionaires don't get framed, they do the framing." David Rios arched a brow. "Defense wants a richer pool." "I want a lawful one," Emily said. The judge granted the strike. Adrian leaned in. "You're protecting me." "I'm protecting the process," she said. And under the table, her thumb pressed the hidden crease of the envelope's twin. A second drive inside her case. Insurance against men who rewrite endings. In the elevator down to lunch, David cornered her without hostility. "The anonymous packet," he said. "Nothing to say." "I'm the defense," she replied. "You shouldn't be discussing your mail with me." He smiled despite himself. "Then allow me to say this as a citizen. If what's in there is real, your client is in more trouble than he knows." "He knows," she said softly, and stepped into the hallway. Back at her office that night, she watched deposition clips alone. Adrian on camera from 6 months earlier. "I don't sign wires without compliance." The CFO, hollow-eyed. "I warned him about Harbor 7. Lila Park, the same PR architect from another life, coaching answers off-screen. Keep to brand." Empathy, not specifics. Emily paused, closed her eyes. In memory, their marriage was a slideshow of deals and dinners. Her suggestions laughed off as soft optics while he chased bigger numbers. The affair hadn't ended them. The contempt had. You can survive a wound. You cannot survive rot. She turned the sound back on and wrote a list that was not a plan for ambush, but a map for illumination, each question a match she would light and place. David Rios opened clean. No adjectives, just nouns and dates. Ladies and gentlemen, you will see wire transfers from Vale Holdings to Hawthorne Shell LLC at midnight. You will hear about trucks leaving Harbour 7 with inventory declared as damaged, then appearing abroad as new. Revenue off the books. You will learn the defendant's password authorized the wires. We will prove intent, he sat. The jury leaned forward. Their job had been turned into a timeline they could hold. Emily stood, black suit catching none of the light. She didn't try to charm, she tried to calm. The state will show you numbers, she said, and ask you to feel anger. That's not a verdict. That's a temperature. Your job is different. You will hear that passwords can be used by multiple people, that trucks move at night because ports move at night, that compliance exists to be followed. If at the end a single question remains unanswered about who intended what, your duty is to say, not guilty. Not because you admire him, because the law is a spine that must hold even when it hurts. Adrian looked at her like she'd reached back through time and touched the man he wanted to be seen as. She didn't return the look. During the state's first witness, a port supervisor, Emily objected 3 times, not to block truth, but to clean its edges. Moved to strike the speculation. Sustained. Foundation. Sustained. Can the witness point to a document? He could not. The jury watched her build a frame, not a fog. At lunch, Adrian tried warmth. You were always brilliant in rooms. Rooms weren't our problem, she said. What was? You, she answered without heat. He flinched and for once said nothing. Back in court, David introduced Exhibit 41, the midnight wire log. Emily did not object. She had already forced, via pre-trial motion, the inclusion of system access logs. Those tiny printouts that say who used the password where. They showed Adrian's credentials from a device geolocated at a townhouse across town. The same townhouse rented by an external consultant the board called indispensable. Emily folded her hands. The match burned. She did not blow it out. The consultant, Lucas Trent, wore a suit that tried too hard and a watch that didn't. He smiled like a man selling certainty. David walked him through friendly ground, his role streamlining distribution, his access to systems, his admiration for the defendant's vision. Emily rose slowly. Mr. Trent, you're under oath. My questions will be simple. Please keep your answers the same, he chuckled. Of course. You had Adrian Vale's password? No, you never used his credentials. Never, she approached the screen. Exhibit 52, 2-factor text confirmations sent to your burner phone. Murmurs. Exhibit 53, your presence badge at Harbour 7 on nights of the wires. He blinked. That's not my number, Your Honor, Emily said. Defense moves to refresh recollection. Judge Chen allowed it. Emily placed a printout before him with the burner's number, then slid a photo across. Lucas in a parking lot. Phone to ear beside a truck stamped with the Shell's logo. I didn't what? Emily's voice didn't rise. Didn't move inventory off the books. Didn't stand where you're standing and use a man's name like a mask. Lucas's jaw tightened. Everyone knew the plan. Name them. Silence. Emily switched the screen. An internal memo from PR, Lila's shop, coordinating talking points if audits sniff. Cede to Lucas. You were looped, David stood. Objection to counsel testifying. Withdrawn, Emily said, eyes never leaving the witness. Mr. Trent, did you sign a consulting agreement with Hawthorne Shell, listing a success fee for liability insulation? He swallowed. I'd talk to counsel. No, Judge Chen said. Answer. Yes, gasps. Emily stepped back. No further questions. The defense had not accused Adrian. The defense had accused the process and put a crack in the state's star witness. But the match did not just glow. It ran along the fuse into the next morning, when David, to his credit, recalled Lucas and asked the question Emily had fed with her restraint. "Who told you to use the CEO's credentials?" Lucas stared at his hands. "Victor Hale," he said at last. "And he said the boss wanted it clean." Emily didn't look at Adrian. She watched the jurors instead. Their pens stopped moving. They had heard a new song. That night, Emily sat alone in her office, the city's hush pressing at the glass. The second envelope, the one she had kept, lay on the desk. Inside, a voice memo, 2 minutes long, recorded the week before the scheme began. Adrian's voice, intimate and raw. "We'll fix it fast, cover the dip, get back on track. No one gets hurt. Lucas knows the steps. If it works, we expand. If it doesn't, we deny." It was the missing piece, the proof of intent the state still lacked. She could not hand it over. Ethics forbade it. She could not present it. That would be betrayal. But she could pull a wire and let the ceiling fall on its own. She drafted a motion to call Victor Hale as a defense witness. The courtroom woke at the novelty. David objected. "Hostile witness belongs to the state." But Judge Chen allowed it with a look that said, "Counsel, if you set this fire, control it." On the stand, Victor smirked. "Why am I here, Ms. Carter?" "To tell the truth," she said. He laughed. "About what?" "About who told Lucas to use Adrian's credentials." "No one." Emily slid a document forward, a board email Victor had sent 2 days after the first wire. "Night runs look clean. Maintain optics. CEO remains hands-off publicly." Victor deflated 1/2 inch. "And this," she said, another exhibit, his text to Lucas. "If this leaks, you drown alone." Victor's eyes flicked toward Adrian. "We all protect the company. Answer the question." He didn't, but the room heard the shape of the answer. In redirect, David asked for a recess. He'd been a good steward of law. He would not let pride lose the case. In chambers, he requested judicial permission to expand discovery into the PR firm and the shell's financiers. Grounds, newly revealed coordination. Judge Chen granted it. The river changed course. Back at council table, Adrian whispered, "What are you doing?" "My job," Emily said, and finally looked at him. "And yours is to tell the truth when it's your turn." The PR chief, Lila Park, arrived under subpoena with a face that hid weather. On direct, David walked her through boilerplate. On cross, Emily kept it surgical. "Ms. Park, did you coordinate media responses to anticipated audit questions?" "We prepare for contingencies." "Did your contingency include vilifying employees who raised flags?" "Objection sustained." "Rephrase." Emily nodded. "Did your plan include talking points designed to impugn anyone who contradicted the CEO?" A beat. "It included protecting the company's narrative," which was that the CEO was visionary and occasionally misled by staff. "A narrative is not a fact, Ms. Park. It's a costume." Emily let the sentence sit, then moved. "Did you ever receive a voice memo from the CEO outlining a fix before the wires began?" Lila's pupils widened a fraction. "I received many memos." "From a number labeled AV Office, Private?" Lila looked at Adrian, then away. "I invoke my Fifth Amendment right." The gallery inhaled. Judge Chen addressed the jury. "You will not draw inferences from a witness's constitutional choice." But the air had changed. The jury had seen fear in a place that used to sell certainty. During the next recess, Adrian asked quietly, "If I plead, do you walk away with your trophy?" "There are no trophies," Emily said. "Would you forgive me?" "I'm not the court." "What are you?" "The person who won't let you hide," she said, and returned to counsel table. When the state rested early, Judge Chen invited the defense to call the defendant. Emily didn't look at Adrian. "The defense calls no witnesses," she said. Gasps. She stood for closing. If you believe this story is unfinished, the law asks you to wait to write its ending. If reasonable doubt lives, you must acquit. The jury went out. An hour later they returned, hung on count 1, split on count 2, leaning toward guilt on obstruction if the judge allowed an Allen charge. Judge Chen declared a mistrial on the major count, reset for retrial, and scheduled a hearing on plea negotiations. Outside, cameras waited. Inside, Emily packed her case. Adrian's voice was almost a boy's. "What now?" "Now," she said, "you walk into a room with the state and you tell them everything. And you?" "I go home." The plea hearing was quiet history. Adrian Vale pled guilty to conspiracy to commit securities fraud and obstruction. In exchange for cooperation, naming Victor, handing over devices, confirming Lila's role, he received a custodial sentence, fines that actually hurt, and a lifetime ban from serving as an officer of a public company. The gallery recorded it with pens and lightning. Judge Chen looked up from the agreement. "Mr. Vale, do you wish to speak?" He nodded once. "I told myself I was protecting jobs, protecting the company. Really, I was protecting my reflection. I lied to my wife, to this city, to myself. Ms. Carter defended the law today, not me. I am sorry." He turned as if to catch Emily's eye. She was already putting on her coat. On the steps, microphones bloomed like flowers aimed at lightning. "Ms. Carter, are you satisfied?" She paused only long enough to say, "I'm satisfied the process worked. I hope the people harmed by this get more than words." That evening, an email from the U.S. Attorney's Office pinged her inbox. "Appreciation for your professionalism amid unusual circumstances." Attached, a formal acknowledgement that anonymous materials had helped redirect the investigation. No attribution, no credit. She exhaled. Good. Quiet wins leave fewer scars. Weeks later, she visited a legal aid clinic the foundation funded. A girl in a too-big blazer asked how to become a lawyer. "You start by listening," Emily said, "and keep listening when the story flatters you." As she left, she passed a TV in the lobby. A news crawl. Former CFO Victor Hale indicted. Below it, a smaller line. PR executive resigns amid probe. No fireworks, just accountability clicking into place like gears. She walked into autumn light and realized the ache she'd called anger was finally just an empty space where a lie used to live. On a rainy Saturday, a courier left a padded envelope at Emily's door. No sender. Inside, a fountain pen she recognized and a folded page. "Ava," it began. She smiled despite the wrong name. Adrian's hand, always rushing. She read, "Emily, I won't ask forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm writing because there's one thing you said that I can't stop hearing. Aim for the rot, not the heart. I've spent my whole life mistaking my reflection for my heart. I'm going to try to grow something where the rot was. If you laugh, I'll deserve it. I enrolled in the outreach tutoring program your foundation funds. They need someone to teach basic spreadsheets to people starting over. I'm qualified to count the beans I once burned. Thank you for lighting the path without lighting me on fire." She folded the letter and set it under a mug so it wouldn't warp. The pen, a dark green pelican, lay warm in her palm. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. Some chapters end with a door closed. Some end with a light left on in a room you'll never live in again. That night, she met a friend for dumplings. They talked about books, not cases. On the walk home, she paused at a bookstore window where a sign read, "Justice is not vengeance. Justice is memory with teeth." She laughed, then caught her reflection. She didn't flinch. She lifted her phone and took a photo, not to post, just to prove to herself that she could occupy an image without a caption writing over her. At home, she slid the anonymous drive into a drawer labeled "Done." She poured tea, wrote checks to 3 clinics, and slept like a house that no longer creaked at night. Moral clever revenge scorches. Moral justice cleans. Emily learned the difference. She didn't win by breaking a man, she won by refusing to bend the law. When truth is aimed at rot, not at hearts, people get a chance to change. And sometimes the cleanest victory is the quiet one.